Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time here. I'm here today with Devin, and we wanted to address the problem of comparison. Comparing ourselves to others in this negative fashion can really start to put a damper on our mental health, on our well being, and overall, it can be in any sphere. It can be comparing yourself to people online, comparing your results, where you're at in life, feeling behind, whether it's wealth, success, fame, body image. It could be any of these topics. And so by the end of this video, we're going to break down 3 simple steps that you guys can use. They're practical steps that we've come up with, will allow you to have a way better handle on this going forward, be able to take inspiration, and rather than getting so bogged down with this comparison, be able to use it to your advantage. When you see others that have results that you want, when you see examples of people that are achieving stuff or doing things or having things that you want in life, you will actually be able to take it and run with it and generate positive results for yourself as well. So that brings us to the first step of this process, which is to take inspiration from others rather than what I think I tend to do sometimes. Like, she's noticed that in my life, in our day-to-day life, I'm pretty like this. I'm pretty like, let go with the flow. I'll be dancing around the grocery store, just having fun, talking in different accents and stuff. And I'd like to even bring more of that to the channel, but what I'm saying is that while that's all well and good with those aspects, in other areas when it comes to my creative work, and especially my music, or if it's creative videos that I'm working on, like reels, or the amount of views that I'm getting or whatever, I can tend to start holding on to this, and I tend to start looking at the results of others with a glass half full mentality, and then seeing just the imperfections in the work that I'm creating. Or another example of that could be, you see somebody that has the physique that you want, like your goal physique, and even if you're making progress in the gym, you might just be looking in the mirror but only seeing your imperfections. Like, sometimes I will look and see like the love handles area, like that stands out to me, and then I just like look and put all my focus on that, rather than seeing all the different areas, all the fact that I'm hitting PRs every time I go to the gym, almost the fact that I've made so much progress on eating healthy. Like, my biological age has been going down, and so has hers, and it's because of these habits and practices that we put in. But it's like, if you compare yourself to Usain Bolt, say that you're trying to run a marathon, or run a sprint or a 4-minute mile, and all you see is, well, no, my mile is still 6 minutes. But it's like, if it was 7 minutes before and now you're down to 6, you're not really being fair in the way that you're judging yourself. You're judging yourself, putting yourself on trial almost, versus seeing only the positives that other people, like, for other people.
Right. So what it is, it's you take inspiration, but you don't compare, and especially negatively compare. You can use it as a sort of even competition. But say Billie Eilish, for example, she will listen to certain artists like the 1975 or Lana Del Rey, but Billie Eilish isn't going to come out with her own like summertime sadness, right? She is going to take inspiration from those. And what I like to say is, take your inspiration wherever you might find it, but evolve that to your own taste and style and put your own signature on it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what Billie Eilish does. Like, it's very much, when I hear her music, at least this is my opinion, I feel like it's really coming from her. Like, she's really putting herself into her music, whereas there's some other artists that you might hear, or other people, or the way they present themselves. You mentioned
like Kim Kardashian, for example, big icon, but a common thing around her is that she has no talent, and I also would agree with that. She's good at making money, but all she is just a copycat. Beyonce is the person that she is just absolutely obsessed with. She's Googling her name multiple times a day, trying to find out what she's doing, what she's up to, what she's putting out. And if Beyonce comes out with a photo shoot where she's all dressed in gold, Kim Kardashian is going to come out with a photo shoot dressed up in gold a couple days later. And that's the difference between pull your inspiration, but don't allow yourself to be a copy, because nobody cares. We're not tracers. We are unique individuals.
Yeah. And what I was gonna say off of that, you said that you mentioned that like her assistants were seeing that she was obsessed with Beyonce and looking up all these things
having them
and copying
Google.
that. And now what you see now too is that everybody, we're out in Arizona and we're actually close to Scottsdale. If you guys have heard of that, it's like an area in Scottsdale where it's kind of wealthy and people are obsessed with their image. And the funny thing is actually if you go there and you're out in Scottsdale, a lot of the women have plastic surgery that looks like Kim Kardashian. And even now they have like this phrase called Instagram face, which is what people have been referring to this as, because everyone's getting the same exact lip fillers and the same exact kind of facial rhinoplasty or whatever it is that's like looks the same. And the thing about that, for me personally, they might technically be attractive, like it may have like good facial features, but honestly, in my personal opinion, I don't find that to be attractive. I don't find that to be pretty or to speak to me, because it just looks like some mannequin that was, and that essentially is, if you're just copying this thing and trying to put these these big lips on this face, it doesn't have that unique inherent beauty that I love to see in people. And I would argue also, like, people's work when it comes to, we mentioned earlier, there's different artists too, and now you got like the Kid Laroi. He kind of took Post Malone style and kind of evolved it a bit, but now you got all these people that are copying that style, and it really kind of feels, it may be enjoyable and maybe they are having some success with it, but it feels a little bit soulless.
Yeah.
And it feels a little bit lacking in substance, because it's really just people kind of copying what other people are doing.
And same like goes with food. You can have a technically beautiful plate, but if it lacks soul, if it lacks that passion, that you can taste that. You can tell quality. And more times than not, people will prefer a plate that is made with love and soul rather than just something soulless ingredients made to look pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went to this place in Santa Barbara actually where the lady was, what is it, Alicia's or whatever?
Yeah.
She's not a fan of Devin because she left a review on Yelp, and because Devin's a chef as well. Devin knows like a lot about cooking, a lot about baking. And yeah, all the food over there, it looked really nice. It looked like spectacular, but eating it is just a bunch of cream, a bunch of sugar, a lot of salt. It does not taste good. It maybe to certain people that haven't had an evolved palate, or they're like, yeah, it's kind of like when you watch like garbage trash TV, you don't really feel good afterwards. You're just like, okay,
but
like
you're just numb to it.
You're stimulated, you're overstimulated, your senses, but it doesn't, like you said, it's like it's not made with love. And that was very apparent after eating this food. We both got stomach aches. She actually threw up after eating this food. And so she left a review on there, and she was not happy at all, because all she was doing was like name dropping all these famous chefs that she's trained with and stuff like that.
And it doesn't matter like who you train with. She loves to name drop Thomas Keller, and I had known many chefs to work with Thomas Keller, but because you might have worked with somebody or you might have bumped shoulders with somebody doesn't mean you have their success, doesn't mean you have their skills or anything. It just means exactly that you worked with them. So what
I was just gonna say, to contrast, like we went to Ojai, which is this place in California, and the Ojai Valley Inn, the food was absolutely amazing, and I would say that food was made with care. It was made by somebody who really cared about the food and cared about the flavor and the customer and their experience and how it's going to feel for them. Even the fish you mentioned the way it was prepared on the plate. The skin was on the top to keep the crispness, but it was in a kind of like a marsala type of sauce on the bottom, so that the whole experience was like, as you eat the fish, you get those layers of crispness, and then over time, as you experience the dish more, there's different layers to the texture because of the way that the way it breaks down as you eat it. Just so much attention to detail with that. And they had a food and wine event there, which I'm sure was amazing, because we as people that really enjoy food, and I've mentioned this before, she makes a lot of amazing food and content. We've been making content about food. We really have an appreciation, like a deep appreciation for food. We're kind of like foodies, I guess you could call us, but we also do it in a healthy way, and that brings me to my other point here, which is, or another example which I was going to give is like my content. I get inspired by certain people. There's this guy named Dane Macbeth, and I know that we draw inspiration from different people. And the thing is, though, you told me, like, I'm not about to move to Canada and like buy a BMW, right? Just because Dane Macbeth has it. But what I am gonna do along the lines of taking inspiration is like, oh, I really like these reels that he's doing. I really like this, like, kind of day in the life.
The specific shots, how he's
Yeah,
getting
the shots he's getting,
the transitions that he's using, and all of these aspects and techniques to his art, his projects, that we can analyze it and pull inspiration from. We don't have the exact same setup he would have, but we can pull those techniques and inspirations and apply it here. So that is a healthy way to see somebody who's doing something that you like and you admire and appreciate, and pull that inspiration from it, but putting your own signature, evolving it to you, your trademark. You are your own trademark.
Yeah, and so this is a nice segue into the second step here, because it's really what it is like, it's getting used to that, having that self-trust, and then having that ability to use your internal guidance system or your internal compass on to know, okay, well, this is how I can use this. And if I see a guy, this goes for fashion as well, if I see a guy that is wearing an outfit and I like it, maybe it won't look as good on me, or maybe I can pull it off in a different way. But a lot of time, if I was to copy it exactly the same way he's doing it, like, I carry myself differently. There's just different things about me, and so I can highlight it in my way. I can rock that outfit or style my outfit in a way where I'm pulling the inspiration, but I'm not like, oh, well, he did it and like I can't do it because it doesn't look the same on me, or whatever. But step 2 really is about silencing the doubtful mind and trusting our instincts. And you were going to give an example in tennis, if you want to go into that.
Yeah, so we play tennis, we play it a lot, and we reference it a lot in these videos as well, because it is just a very all-around beneficial sport to learn to play and to analyze and take.
It has a good metaphor for
life. It's so applicable. And one thing that, like an example I've used is, there have been times where we've been playing and I'll go for a ball and I'm thinking in my head, if I get in my head too much, I will just try to disconnect myself from my body and let my body do what it knows to do. And there's been times where I've seen a ball and I'm thinking in my head, oh no, like I can't get that. Like if I get a racket on it, it's going to go right, just straight out of the court, out of bounds. And I've disconnected. I'm just hovering and watching my body play. And I'll run, hit the ball, and it'll just sail, graze right over the net and sink right into the court. And beautiful shot. And I'm always pleasantly surprised with that myself. And this helps build confidence in yourself and trusting your instinct. Every time you can trust your body and your instinct, you build that confidence. And the more you build that confidence in yourself, the more you can the more you can silence that doubtful mind. And it could be extrinsic too. It could be in external happenings. If people are constantly hovering over you, like, are you sure about this? Should you be doing this? I'm a cook, like how we've said, like, I take pride in what I do in the kitchen, and a lot of times I will just check out and let my body do what it knows to do in the kitchen as well. And it trips me up whenever people hover over me and they're like, well, are you sure about that? Or that seems like a lot of that. And like, I don't think about it, but I'm like, am I sure? And I begin to doubt myself. And then that's whenever those moments of like those moments will come up like, oh, I should have trusted myself. And even now, lately, I've been more confident in that. And I'm like, yes, I am sure. I am sure this much of this. And so I don't have those moments where I say to myself, I should trust myself or I should have listened to myself. And it is important when those moments come up to take a mental note of what happened that got me to this feeling like I should trust in myself. What happened internally and what happened outside that I can take note of, so next time it happens, and inevitably will happen, I can identify that and practice that confidence in myself, because it's not something that you're just going to wake up and have. It is a practice.
Yeah, it's an ongoing practice, and because to have trust with yourself, you also have to be doing things. Part of building integrity with yourself is to do what you said you're going to do, and through those actions, you then are able to then build that trust with yourself and build that intuition up. So it's a good example using tennis, because if you're sitting there, you're in your head, you're thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. I don't know if I'll be able to return this ball. My opponent, they're good. They have a really good forehand. All of these things, they'll play around in your head, and then if you kind of just relax, like the moment when you are tensing that grip on the racket too much, it's the moment when you start to shank the ball or shank the racket or hit the ball out. When you and it's funny because when I was trained in tennis earlier, like I played tennis in high school, we both did, but at those beginning levels, they say they kind of trained you to keep your arms stiff, which I thought is interesting, and it may be important to do that at the beginning level, because at a very beginning level, you don't want to be going like swinging your racket around willy-nilly. It's just going to be bad form. But I think that when you get to a more intermediate level and you actually are able to hit consistent balls and you're hitting them with a proper form, or at least pretty good form, it actually is important to then allow a little bit more looseness in the wrist. And that's how you get that topspin. And it's a good metaphor for life, again, because it's like at different stages of something, you might be working on your creative projects and be like, okay, well, right now I really do want to just copy this guy Dane McBeth or this person that I see. I need a model to go after. Let's say you're making YouTube videos. You want to go for what somebody's doing. You see something that you like, you pick it out, you say, hey, I like that, let me just copy that. And that might be good. If it's your first iteration or you're just getting started with something, it might be good to just try to copy it. And as you do that, as you perform more reps, you're then going to develop your own style. Even in the gym or in tennis, let's say, you see the way that somebody hits the ball, you can try to look at it, try to copy it, but you're going to then develop a feel that feels good for you. And
just like drawing, like everyone can relate to it. In school, whenever they're teaching you how to draw, it's you put a paper over an image and you copy that.
Yeah.
And it's getting you familiar with these lines, these strokes, and that is important for
a baseline. Yeah.
And getting your body used to something new like this, and getting your mind into thinking like, okay, I like these lines here, I don't like these lines here. And then that's whenever you evolve your own style and create your own signature with whatever you are doing, whether it is a sport or like a form of art. It's using that for your training wheels, but not relying on it heavily.
Yeah, because ultimately you just want to be able to get in that flow state, which she gets into with cooking. We'll get in it while we're playing tennis. When I was learning sales, I would try to copy what my mentor was teaching me, what he was doing. And then as you keep doing it, as you keep going in and talking to these people throughout the sales process, you start to notice those little nudges of like, oh, let me say this, let me like bring this up at this point. And then you kind of develop your own style and the way that you handle and deal with those sales. And it, like, again, this can apply to anything, to making YouTube videos, your own kind of style that works for you. Some people read a script for YouTube videos every single time. I find that to be like very rigid. I don't know how people do that. Other people just talk to the camera free flowing. there's a mix. You could write an outline, you could do any of these things, but it's important to check in with that internal, that internal kind of where it's pointing, that internal compass, and saying, hey, like, this is the natural way. This is actually the way that it's going to feel most natural for me right now, and go with that. Because otherwise, that internal resistance, that internal tension, same thing that's causing you to grip the racket too strongly and hit the ball out. It's like what she describes when I'm holding on too tight sometimes with these creative things, whether it's my music or whether it's like some reels that I'm working on. It's important to be able to relax, have fun with things again, and
put yourself into it. And important, figuring out what your style is, because ultimately there is only one of you. So whatever it is, whether it is tennis, we are not designed to be these copies. So comparing ourselves to another person, it really doesn't make sense, because there's only one Alex. There's only one of me. I was saying before, like, Alex likes to do these, like, make these videos and put out mental mindset improvement and mindset growth and strengthening videos. Other people do too. And his rebuttal is like, other people are doing it, but no one's doing it like Alex is. No one is cooking like Devin is. They can try, they can pull inspiration from me, and that's awesome that they do. And that's awesome. You've even seen people copying your videos and taking inspiration from your videos, and that's awesome. But everyone has their own signature, and that is in their own brand. And that brings us to our third and last point, throwing a party for ourselves. And no one else is going to do it for us. It is us who are supposed to do it. Only we know the words to say to hype ourselves up and build ourselves up. There's a Japanese saying that we all have soldiers inside of us. And the soldiers, they hear the way that we talk about ourselves, whether it's negative talk or positive talk. That is the energy that feeds them. And that is whenever we are feeling down and we're saying negative things, we're only hurting our soldier. And I think the most important thing, even if it's small victories, even if it's something that somebody else has done and they've done it 1,000 times, but throwing that party for yourself whenever you figure something out, whenever you do something and you do it in your style, that is something amazing, and that is something that no one can take from you. Kim Kardashian wishes she can be like that, throw her own personal party for herself because she did something unique. She can't. Billie Eilish can, because she knows herself. She knows she's sure of herself and confident, pulling inspiration, and throws those parties because she's like, I made this new album and I killed it. Alex made an amazing video and he killed it, and it's unique to him. And a little story, I play video games, and I'm a big gamer, and I guess my friends, they say that I play it in such a unique way that they start to rename games after me because I play it my way and not how I see these MLG gamers playing it online. And I will bend the boundaries of the game or come up with unique ways to go about problem solving. And they changed games names like Destiny to Devstiny. They changed Bloodborne to Devonborn.
Yeah, and she has all these like mannerisms and like little things that she'll do, and I call them Devonisms. I don't know if people had called them that before, probably as well. Maybe. But anyways, they're just really unique to her, and that's one reason that I actually like Devin to begin with, is that, and I was telling her this the other night, is that she's a free thinker. I think that regardless, man, woman, and I'm not talking about in the romantic sense, it can be in the romantic sense as well, But I think an attractive person, a magnetic person that draws people to them, is the type of person that has that self-trust within them, and you can tell is operating from that internal guidance system that we're talking about, and they're getting out of their own way, they're getting out of their head, they're not gripping onto reality or the racket or whatever you want to call it too tightly. They're allowing things to flow from that natural intuitive source. It's just attractive. It just draws people to you. And you can see people like this, celebrities online. You've probably met or seen people at a party like this. It's like all eyes are on them. And it almost is like there's just this aura of radiating around them because they're in that flow state that we're talking about here. It's like they're not allowing themselves to get in their head, comparing themselves, oh, well, I don't know if I'm doing as well right now. And it's like, I think I mentioned this in another video too, like Djokovic while he's playing tennis, it's just, that's how it feels too. It feels like a work of art. You're watching a live work of art. And, that's how Devin is sometimes. I mean, I don't want to, I mean, with the stuff that she'll be doing, the mannerisms are so much her, like coming through, like her soul coming out and expressing itself in the physical world, that you just know that. And that's why people like her too. Like she got a job recently serving. She's had various jobs where she'll, and sometimes we'll be out and other women will just gravitate around her and they'll just be like, almost to the point where it's a little bit weird, just like obsessed with her. But not to digress, it's just a matter of, that is what's beautiful, is that soul coming out and being able to express itself in its like raw form.
Because you're not so worried about what's this other person doing, comparing yourself like, oh, how would they behave, or I need to do what they're doing. It's confidence and comfortable with yourself and throwing parties for yourself, building yourself up so that like whatever step that you take, whatever room you walk into, you're doing it the most right way because that is the way that you are meant to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Entering your name in anything, like that is your brand. I always say like, oh, like that's like Devin trademark. And that's just a constant party for yourself, constantly building up even the smallest things. I will clean the apartment and I'll go and be like, I just did this. And just have fun, have a party, because at the end of the day, like to go off of, topics that we talked about before, like this is the way to be that main character. Mm-hmm. Because main characters aren't comparing themselves. Mm-hmm. Main characters can be inspired, but never compare.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it useful. Maybe we covered a lot of different examples. Sometimes I really like to do that because I think it helps the point click. If there's a certain example we gave that helps the point drive home, then I think it's worthwhile to spend a little bit more time in diving into these different things. So it's something that ultimately comes down to, and I had a mentor say this to me one time, but in a very powerful way, and because he was somebody that I looked up to, and it's sometimes you need somebody to give you permission. You really need to give yourself permission, but it comes down to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself. And it sounds so basic or maybe cliche, but it is the truth. This entire video and a lot of content online could probably be summed up with that, but does that actually resonate and connect with you on a deep level? Are you able to then develop that self-trust? And it's easier said than done. Yeah, so it's practice. It's about keeping it as a practice and developing that trust within yourself, because you are taking action that is aligned with the person that you have in your mind, the person with your mindset. I talked about before in other videos. Your will and imagination, they should be in harmony. They should be in alignment. That is how you will execute on what it is you want. That is how you will bring in those goals that you're looking for and everything that you want to achieve. With that being said, guys, you already know that we're becoming the best versions of ourselves on this channel, so I can drop a few more cliches at the end of the video. Just kidding, but not in all reality. Like, I hope that this helped. Drop us a like, leave us a comment, any questions down below. We will respond. And yeah, hit me with a subscribe if you have not already. Much love, and we will see you in the next video.